he's one of the best in the world, you know. That's it, simple, you know.
It's interesting because Alvarez gets the penalty that Messi takes. Messi actually touches the ball for Alvarez to run through, score the second, then Messi, with a sublime bit of skill, sets up Alvarez for the third. So, I mean, there's a partnership developing here at the right time, which is kind of, you know, hitting the heights. And if it wasn't for either one of them, then obviously we don't have the game that we've just had. So, top draw.
True. When it comes to Messi, I'm sure whoever's going to be facing them in the final, be it France, be it Morocco, they'll be looking to create and formulate a plan to try and stifle the Argentinian. And it just got me thinking as well. I remember a couple of years back, there was a match report done by, actually, Andre Villas-Boas for Jose Mourinho when they were at Porto together. And it talked about all the players at Barcelona. Ronaldinho was at the time, and a very, very young Messi. And you know what I'm talking about, Val. I'm just wondering, like, what kind of discussions would be had in the changing room when you have to face a player like Messi? What can teams do, from your own experience, to try to stop him?
You know, I have one in my mind, and actually it was with Jose when he was at Man United. When he put Herrera one-on-one with Eden Hazard, and they beat Chelsea. Because, you know, like kind of stopping Eden, you know, like they had a big chance of, you know, like of winning the game, because at that time he was flying, you know, Eden Hazard, and so offensively he was the one that was making the difference at that time. So he came with that strategy. So Herrera, man v man, all over the pitch, and that's it. But it worked. So I don't know here, obviously, if that will be the case, but it's quite difficult. Obviously, they need to be careful, and whatever will be, you know, if it's Morocco, you know how they set up, how they, you know, like kind of became quite defensively, and you know, probably be a bit more difficult for Messi, especially in the middle, because there will be more congestion there. If it's France, I don't know, because they also have to be careful with some of the French players.
Yeah. Well,
so that's
what do you make of that as a possible tactic in the final? Because I remember I read Andrea Pirlo's book, fabulous player, but he talked about how against Manchester United, so Alex put Park Ji-sung on him. He just could not shake him off. He just could not shake Ji-sung Park off, because he never gave him any time to breathe. He was just always on him. And obviously Pirlo's playing in a much sleeper position than Messi, and he's more of a quarterback than Messi is, but still, do you reckon we could see that? Easier said than done too.
Well, this is the thing. You could man mark him and he could still get away. You know, sometimes you have to accept that these players are hard to play against, and they are what they are. But I think the only way really is a real good game plan. You need a couple of players that can try and jump to him as quick as possible. But I think if you start going man v man and you sort of sacrifice a player of your own, because let's face it, if you get to a World Cup final, you're obviously a good side. So you can't just sacrifice your strategy for one player. You need to try and make them worry about you. You know, it's easier said than done, as I say. But I just think you're going to need a real solid game plan, know exactly when to jump. You're going to have to make fouls, you're going to have to stop the play, but then ultimately try and make them worry about you, because, you know, if Messi and Argentina haven't got the ball, then obviously you can't do anything.
Yeah, and if it is France, let's say, in the final, and you've got someone like Mbappé, well, Argentina will have that to worry about. Or if it was Morocco, someone like Ziyech.
I don't think Messi's going to be worrying about Mbappé.
Not Messi's perspective, but I think the rest of the team. Let's put it that way.
That'd be interesting, them two 1v1.
Yeah, oh, that would be something special. But what do you make of this? How do you stifle Lionel Messi?
Well, I think it's one of these things which we love about football, isn't it? That Messi and Alvarez, in part, will get all the headlines, rightly so, because the two of them are involved one way or another in all three goals. But I'm just looking through here. I mean, Messi scored the penalty. He got a touch for Alvarez. He had one shot in the second half, and he set up the third goal. Other than that, there wasn't massive bits of Messi where he's running on, taking people, last-ditch tackles. That's the problem that either France or Morocco are going to have to face. It's not about this consistent all the way through the game player. It's the guy who just pops up. And when he pops up, he has a big influence. So what do? You can man mark him, but then effectively you're playing with 10 men. Because a lot of the time he's just going to be walking around.
That's exactly like a quote I gave you earlier from Van Dijk.
And that's the problem. Someone like Morocco can't afford to have one man not as part of their defensive unit.
I don't think it will happen. Yeah. But you know, the question
What's that,
here,
Morocco getting through, or
not to, you know, in case of, but you know, I think it's more like it's the way, like, the way you, or your strategy, or the way you face the game. And the big concern will be obviously when they are like kind of in position, you know, defensively, whatever they are organized, it's fine. You know, it's more like when whatever will be France or Morocco in the final. You know, when they are in possession, they are attacking. Is, you know, like who will be kind of close to Messi in case of losing the ball, or who's kind of, you know, not far from him, because if they lose the ball goes to Messi. They need to have someone there, you know, like straight away. So that's the thing that will probably, you know, happen and must be, because otherwise he can punish you.
Before I wrap things up, just a bit of a fun question. I know that your positions on the pitch might differ to where the opposition is, but if you just had to choose, who would you rather face, Messi or Mbappé? Put aside that Messi is usually more on the right. Let's ignore that for the moment. Let's just pretend.
I'd probably say Messi right now. Messi would be tough as well, but I think right now, maybe because of his age as well, you'd probably pick Messi.
I didn't want to have both, you know, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Exactly, yeah.
you know, like I had like so many questions about who was the toughest and this, and I say, you know, I play against the three Ballon d'Ors, you know, Ronaldinho Gaúcho, Ronaldo, and Messi. So, and it's so difficult, you know, three different type of players, and so unpredictable as well. You don't know what can they do, you know. Even if you know them, it's difficult to stop them. If you choose Messi or Mbappé, they have, you know, top players, you know. It's quite difficult. But depend obviously of your position, you know, like especially for us, me and, you know, and Glenn, we were like fullbacks. We always have wingers, you know, very skillful and fast, and so it was hard. You know, if you're more like central, you can still maybe kind of control a bit, or you have a little bit more support. But as a fullback, it was quite hard, you know, to facing those kind of players, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Jamo, I got to ask you as well. I guess more of a keeper's perspective.
I think Messi's a bigger problem because he can score, but he can also get assists from silly positions. You know, that blind pass that we saw in the last game against the Netherlands, that kind of thing. You're, as a goalkeeper, trying to worry about him knowing he can score, but then all of a sudden you're looking at someone who's running in one-on-one. So
yeah.
I think he just offers more problems than possibly Mbappé, who will just run very quick, cross the ball and probably shoot from anywhere. But yeah, Messi's winning it for me at the minute.
Let me throw in another name. Messi, Mbappé, or David James when he played up front? Who are you choosing? Who would you rather face?
It ain't J-Mo, because he'd probably kick me out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. That's a good point.